What's up and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our kind of series on winter sowing seed starting. So if you haven't seen the first video in this series, make sure you go back to my channel and watch the very first video where I talk about what I'm doing to winter sow these seeds in the low tunnel, because we're not using the standard winter sowing procedure this year. We are winter sowing larger trays so we can get more seeds, more seedlings, more plants for the garden in this low tunnel instead of using the milk jugs. As always, if you are looking for a video about how to, winter sow in the milk jugs, you can find that in my channel. Just go to my channel page and type in the search bar. You should be able to find what you're looking for. No problem. I just wanted to clear that up before we get started. Today we're back in the garden. Today we're going to be winter sowing one of my absolute favorites. We're going to be winter sowing some zinnia seeds. Now, there's no secret. Zinnias are awesome. Like, they're awesome. I love them. They're so easy to grow. It's not even funny. Now, of course, you can undoubtedly 100% direct sow zinnias as soon as, the frost date has passed. You can direct sow zinnias into the garden. However, I do like to winter sow some zinnias to get a head start on the growing season, and so that when summer finally gets here and we can enjoy the warmer weather, we'll have some really nice zinnias that we can enjoy and use for cut flowers or just enjoy in the garden, watch the butterflies and the hummingbirds, which absolutely love them. Anyway, so many good things to say about zinnias. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously get my seed tray ready. I'm just going to use a seed flat here, and it's up to you what you want to use. You can use cell trays, you can use a soil blocker. It's just your own personal preference. This is personally how I like to start my seeds. So I'm just going to fill this up with a potting mix. I'm just going to put a couple of pieces of paper down in the bottom of this so my soil doesn't fall out, and fill it up with a nice potting mix. You can use a seed starting mix, obviously would be ideal, but I only have access to potting mix, so that's what I'm going to use. I've never had any troubles using potting mix to start seeds in the past, so I'm not really that worried about it. It's, again, your own personal preference. That's the great thing about gardening, is you got to find what works for you. After I filled this up with my potting soil mix, I'm just going to firm this down with my hands, making sure the soil is nice and tightly packed in there. After I've done that, I'm just going to take my seeds and I'm going to lightly surface sow these seeds. Always you want to check your seed packets, see if they mention anything about needing light to germinate. In general, I tend to take kind of a safe route, and I tend to just surface sow the seeds. If the seeds are a little bit larger, depending on what I'm growing, I will maybe add just another layer of dirt, just a little bit of light dusting of dirt. But even some larger seeds require light to germinate. So you do want to be making sure to pay special attention to that on your seed packet. After I've done that, I am just going to firm the seeds into the soil with my hands, making sure that those seeds come into really, really good contact with the soil. This is going to be really important later on. To get the best germination rate possible, that we firm those seeds down into that soil. After I've done that, I am just going to take the tray outside and I'm going to grab my garden hose. It's got just a really fine seedling mist nozzle on it that I got off Amazon, and I'm just going to lightly mist these seed trays so that I'm not disturbing the seeds, but I want to make sure that this, the soil and everything is very well saturated, because that nice saturation and that consistent moisture is going to be what really, really helps us get a great germination rate later on when we put this in the low tunnel. Once this has been watered really well, I'm just going to slide this into the low tunnel, and we're going to let nature take over. We're not going to do anything to, regulate temperatures. We're just going to put this in our low tunnel and let the natural change of the weather help these seeds to sprout. I'm going to check on these seed trays every, once a week, maybe twice a week once the weather warms up, just to make sure that these trays are not drying out. Again, we want to make sure we are maintaining that nice, consistent moisture, and we should have some really great success with this winter sowing. So just like a lot of the other winter sowing plants that I'm actually sowing the seeds for and sowing trays for right now, these are going to be tender to frost. Now, by tender to frost, I just mean that these will not survive a frost. You know how the flowers like hardy annuals can handle a little bit of frost? Well, these cannot. So that means if the seeds germinate a little bit early, which they will because that's the whole point of winter sowing, and there is a predicted frost, we are going to need to take steps to protect those, just depending upon the garden and depending upon how cold it's going to be. I wish there was just a set of rules to follow or a set of guidelines to follow, but this is really going to be different in every person's garden depending on, humidity and moisture and cloud cover and just all kinds of variables that will depend whether or not you get a frost or not. Now, obviously, the low tunnel does offer some degree of protection from the frosts, just the trays being in the low tunnel, themselves. But if it is going to be on the colder side, you might consider needing to add an additional row cover or frost blanket or even an old sheet. I've used an old sheet in the past and it's worked perfectly fine. Or you may even have to consider bringing the tray indoors for the night just to make sure that you don't lose any of those seedlings. Now, I should mention, as long as your seeds have not germinated, you don't really have to worry about it. Like, for example, I've got my seeds outside. They haven't germinated yet, but there's a frost predicted that night. I don't have to worry about that seed tray. Nature is going to take care of that seed tray. Those seeds are going to germinate, when the time's right, when the soil temperature is right. Everything should be fine there. But once those do germinate, say it's going to be 30 degrees Fahrenheit, I might consider going out and grabbing, a row cover and covering those plants up. Anything in general below 30 degrees Fahrenheit in my yard, I like to go ahead and bring the seed tray in just to be careful, just to be safe. Because, especially this late in the season with starting seeds, I don't want to risk losing any of those little seedlings that I have started because sooner rather than later, those are going to be going into the not the hoop house. Because sooner rather than later, those are going to be transplanted into the garden as soon as my last frost date has passed. So it's really important to pay attention to what I'm doing out there, what the weather's doing. That's really about it for this video. I hope that it was somehow helpful. If it was, be sure to subscribe, especially if you're new. I'd love to have you. I'm making new videos about, gardening and sometimes DIY projects all the time. So if you like a little bit of surprise, you might like this channel too. Hit that little bell icon. It'll keep you up to date with whenever I release a new video. As always, I'd love to hear any, experiences down in the comments below. I always love learning from you guys and learning, how you grow things in your garden and seeing what's up with that. I always love hearing from you guys. And, of course, you can leave any questions you might have down there, too. I'll try to answer. I'll do my best to answer. Sometimes I don't know the answer, being totally honest. But I do get to those comments usually within about a week. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer because I'm making all these videos and, I'm still working and everything. So usually about a week it takes me to get to those comments. I hope that you guys are having such an amazing day. I'll talk to you all later. Bye, guys.